All right, today we're going to be doing lecture 26, inequalities with variables on both sides. So for these questions, what's going to happen is you're going to have variables on both sides. So you'll see an x on the left side, but you'll also see an x on the right side. Let's try number one. I've got 5x minus 1 is less than 3 times x plus 3.
Can I have two sheets of paper?
Yeah. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to distribute the 3 to everything on the inside. So I'm going to draw an arrow from the 3 to the x, and I'm going to draw an arrow from the 3 to the 3. Right now, the left side is going to stay the same, but over here on the right side, you're going to have 3 times x, which is just going to be 3x. And then you're going to have a plus sign in the middle. That's going to come down. If you do 3 times 3 on this side, you're going to get 9. So that's the first thing we did. We did the distributive property. The next thing that I want to do is I want to make sure that I get all the variables on one side while all the numbers are on the other side. So to get the variables on the left side, what I can do is get rid of this 3x. And I'm going to do that by subtracting it from both sides. So when I subtract from both sides, the 3x on the right side are going to cancel out, leaving me only with a 9. On the left side, I have 5x minus 3x, and that's going to give me a 2x. And then you have to bring down the -1. So now this is looking more and more like a multi-step problem. Multi-step inequality. To get the x by itself, I need to get rid of the -1 first. Then I'm going to get rid of the 2. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add 1 to both sides. That's going to give me 9 plus 1, which is 10. And then over here, I still have a 2x. But the -1 and the +1 are going to cancel each other out to give me 0. So I can cross those out. Now I only have one more step to do. I got to get rid of the 2, and I can do that by dividing both sides by 2. And I have to do it on both sides. What that'll do is it'll cancel out the 2 2's on this side, leaving me with just an x. I bring down my less than symbol, and then over here I have 10 divided by 2. That's going to give me 5. So I get x is less than 5. So over here, I can write my solution set. I'm going to let my variable be x, all real numbers x, such that x is less than 5. And then I'm going to have my number line down here. So whatever number I get for my answer, in this case it's going to be 5, I'm going to put it in the middle. And then all the numbers that are less than 5 are going to go on the left side. Numbers like 4 and 3. But numbers that are bigger than 5, like 6 and 7, are going to go on the right side. Now, because I have a less than symbol, what I need to do is use an open circle. I'm going to put that open circle around the 5 and then shade to the left. And I'm shading to the left because in my answer. So once you shade to the left, you're going to shade the left arrow. Once you're finished with your number line, you are done. So for these types of questions, you're trying to get all the x terms to the left side, the left-hand side, while the right-hand side should be all numbers at the end. All right, let's look at number 2. I've got 1 minus 6, parentheses, 6x minus 3. Is greater than or equal to negative 2r plus 19. Negative 2x, not r. All right, so for this one, the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to take this negative 6 and I'm going to multiply it by everything on the inside. So I'm going to draw my arrows from the negative 6 to both of these terms on the inside, the 6x and the negative 3. So the first thing that's going to happen is I'm going to bring my 1 down, and then I'm going to multiply negative 6 by 6x. And when I do that, I get negative 36 times x. The next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply the negative 6 by the negative 3. And that's going to cause me to have a positive answer because I've got 2 negatives right here. I get positive 18. And then I'm going to keep everything the same on the other side. So now there are a couple things I can do. Notice that I have like terms on the left side. This 1 I'm going to underline, and this 18, I'll put a line under that. Since these are both numbers, I can put them together. 1 plus 18 is going to give me 19. So not only am I going to have a negative 36x on this side, but I'm also going to have a positive 19. So now what I want to do is I want to get all the x terms to the left side, while all the regular numbers go to the right side. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of this negative 2x. I can do that by adding 2x to both sides. Once I add 2x to both sides, I get negative 36 plus 2. That'll just give me negative 34x. And then over here, the negative 2x and the positive 2x are going to cancel out. But I'm still left with a positive 19 over here. So I'll just bring that down. Okay, so now all the x terms are over on the left side. Now I want to get all the regular numbers to the other side. What I can do to get rid of this positive 19 is I can subtract 19. I just got to make sure I do it on both sides. So when I subtract 19, they'll cancel out on the left side, but they'll also cancel out on the right side since I have 19 minus 19. And that's just going to give me 0, while everything else stays the same. So now I've got negative 34x is greater than or equal to 0. The last thing that I need to do to get x by itself is divide both sides by that negative 34 that you see out in front. Now, since I'm dividing by a negative 34, that means that I'm going to have to flip the sign at the very end. And I'll show you how to do that. The negative 34 is going to cancel on the left side, leaving me with just an X that I'm going to bring down. I'll write that in yellow. And what I'm going to do to this sign is I'm going to flip it. So it'll be a less than or equal to. And then what's 0 divided by negative 34? That's going to be 0. So this is going to be my answer. I can write it as a solution set. That's pretty simple. I just use my variable and my answer, and then I close it up. And then the last thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to draw my number line, and I'll do it on the left side. So this time I'm going to have 0 in the middle. I'll put a -1 and a -2 on this side, and a +1 and a +2 on this side. Since I've got that less than or equal to, I have to use a closed dot. I'm going to use a closed dot and shade to the left. And I'm going to shade that left arrow too. And that's it. I'm done. Okay, we're going to do one more like this, and then we'll look at the classwork. Let's try number 3. So I'm going to have a -8 times 5x plus 2. Minus 8. That's going to be less than or equal to -8x plus 40. So for this one, the first thing that I always do is I use the distributive property. If I have a number on the outside, like this -8 right here, I can always multiply it by what's on the inside. So I need to multiply it by 5x. I get -40x. But I also need to multiply it by the +2. And that's going to give me -16. The -8, I'm just going to bring down. But then I'm going to keep everything else the same over here. So now there's a couple things I can do. I can put the regular numbers together. Notice how I have a -16 and a -8. Those are both numbers. They don't have x beside them, so they are like terms. I can put them together. -16 minus 8, that's going to give me -24. But the -40x just gets brought down to my next line. So then I've got that less than or equal to -8x plus 40. So now I've reached the point where I have an x on both sides. So what I want to do is get all the x terms on the left side. That means I've got to get rid of this -8x right here. I can do that by adding 8x. Make sure you do that to both sides. So the -8x and the +8x will cancel out, leaving me with 40. But over here, I'm going to bring down the negative 24, and I'm going to add up these x terms. And when I do that, I get negative 32x. So now what I want to do is, now that I've gotten all the x terms to the left side, I want to get all the regular numbers to the right side. So that means this negative 24 has to disappear. I can only do that by adding 24 to both sides. So the 24s will cancel out on the left side, leaving me with a negative 32x less than or equal to 40 plus 24, which is 64. And now I only have one more step to do. That's to divide both sides by negative 32. So since I'm dividing by a negative, the sign is going to flip at the very end. It used to be a less than or equal to. Now it's going to be a greater than or equal to. So x is greater than or equal to 64 divided by negative 32. That's going to be negative 2. Okay, so now I've got my answer, and I can write it in a solution set like this. And then I can write it as a number line over here. So the negative 2 is going to go in the middle. Numbers that are less than that, like negative 3, can go on the left side. Numbers that are bigger than negative 2 are going to go on the right side, like negative 1. Since I have a greater than or equal to, I know that I'm going to be shading to the right, but I'm also going to have a closed dot. So I put that closed dot on the negative 2 and I shade to the right like that.